Cool. Awesome. Looking back at yesterday's game, some critical errors throughout, critical things that our team can do better, handle situations better across the board. Offense, defense, and special teams all played a role in the outcome yesterday, and ultimately we didn't do enough against a team that's playing really well right now to go into their home stadium and win the football game. Definitely a lot that on a short week we'll continue to take a look at in efforts to try to improve and make our football team or give our football team a chance to continue progressing towards playing our best football here in the month of December. But not something that needs to be talked about a whole lot other than just go back to work and to a man, do our individual jobs, and me collectively leading our group at the highest possible level this week as we prepare to head back home on a short week against the Indianapolis Colts and the challenge that they will be, for our team. Just injury updates for you guys. Cam Dantzler did come out of the game okay, coming off of being activated and getting some significant time. A little sore, but he should transition and continue to be available for us. Adam Thielen has kind of had the same type of thing pop up with, a little bit of bruising in his knee from either contact or, has just hit it a couple times and kind of aggravated that. But he should be okay to progress through the week and be available to us. Both Jordan Hicks and James Lynch. James Lynch with the shoulder and Jordan with, his foot, ankle. Should progress and be day-to-day throughout the week, and we're hoping they get to a place where both those guys should be available to us. The only guy out in my mind at this point is Blake Brendel. He suffered an MCL tear upon, further medical evaluation, and he will be more than likely out for, at the very minimum, 4 weeks, and we want to make sure we give Blake a chance to get back healthy. He's given us some real solid snaps in place of Christian Darrisaw over the last few weeks, and unfortunate for Blake, but we know he'll attack this rehab and hopefully give himself a chance to return, possibly for our team here later in the season or hopefully into the playoffs. Other than that, both Garrett Bradbury and Christian Darrisaw should progress, into full work, hopefully a full workload this week, possibly limited for Garrett, depending on how his back turns over. But we're hopefully, anticipating having both those players available on Saturday.
Thanks, Kevin. We'll start with Joe, Andrew, and then Dave.
Yes, Kevin, the numbers don't lie. Your defense is giving up a lot of yards. Besides execution, what can you do in the next 4 weeks to change an approach schematically? What are you going to do to try to and make that a better area for you?
Yeah, Joe, I think there's a lot of things. There's a lot of things we can do. There's a lot of things on the table as far as whether it be personnel based, whether it be schematics based. Changing things up, changing some looks, being a little bit more aggressive at times, just picking our spots defensively to put our players in situations to be aggressive and try to make some plays. I think we've thrived this year when we've been able to turn the football over and be around the football, try to affect the quarterback with our rush. Finding ways to do that, different ways to do that is something we've got to take a long look at. As well as how we're deploying some of our players and schematically. And you never, at this point in the season, it's hard to completely revamp everything that you do. But I also think when you have enough inventory and information telling you certain things, I think we've got to, find ways to, provide different looks and change ups to the offense while staying true to hopefully the aggressive nature of trying to put your players in positions to make successful plays and activating, the players we rely on to make plays in critical moments. And I think a lot goes into it. I think coaching is, very important in times like this to make sure that although we don't want to completely revamp, we have to be honest and look at things in a way where we can be the most competitive group we can possibly be over there, and that's what we're doing.
Hey, Kevin, I just wanted to ask about Cam Dantzler. With him coming out all right, was the rotation there part of the plan, or was he struggling there and you wanted to get Duke Shelley some run?
No, at one point, Andrew, he may have just, had a couple plays where maybe he felt something. A lot of guys coming back from that high ankle type thing, sometimes it's just kind of a momentary maybe thing that happens, and then they get checked out. Hey, you're good to go. You're okay. And he was back in there, and that's normal throughout the process. I give Cam a lot of credit for, throughout his progression, his rehab, trying to really have that game circled yesterday as one he wanted to make it back for. Attacked it every step of the way, but we knew kind of going into it we needed to be ready for a snap or two here and there if Cam needed a couple plays and ultimately was able to come back in the game.
And I apologize if I missed this, but is there an update with Harrison Smith and the neck injury?
Nope, I should have said that. Yeah, Harrison is doing well, continuing to get his full strength back, and between the illness last week, that he had early on in the week, and then with the neck, it was just a lot for him to try to make it for the game. He will progress back in this week as well, Andrew. Thank you for asking. Sorry about that.
Kevin, with the running game and specifically the negative yards and some of those plays, tackles for loss in the backfield, have you been able to identify some of the common threads and why those keep popping up? Has it been just some one-on-one matchups have been missed, or what's your take on that?
Yeah, I think there was a couple variances yesterday. I mean, missing 40% of your original starters on the offensive line. There's going to be some communication and maybe some details of, how we're getting to the second level, potentially trying to be, out in front of some of those linebacker run-throughs, coming off your combinations in a timely manner to where we can get some of those runs started. I think there were some fundamental and technique things that contributed to a couple of those, whether it overreaching something on the edge or potentially, having all the information at our disposal to maybe sniff out a pressure and just not and having a player in position to try to handle that, and then just not getting the block executed in that moment, whether it be the guys up front, tight ends, receivers. It felt like there was just a kind of a rotating thing there, and that's kind of what I was hitting on execution-wise after the game when we talked. And then ultimately, I think, we've got to take a look at our run game right now and make sure we're doing the things that we can do as coaches to give our players a clear-cut plan to be able to handle the different things movement-wise that you face in a game, and get our backs going and allow them to try to be what we hope, which is a major part of what we want to do offensively. Kind of allow everything else to go from there.
Kevin, to go back.
Dan and then Kevin.
Kevin, to go back to the onside kick yesterday with 2:50 left and a couple timeouts. What's your thought process there to go for the onside kick as opposed to saying let's kick it away and try to get a stop and get the ball back?
Yeah, either way, Ben, you're at that point in time looking at the time that was left in the game. I just felt in that moment that either way we were going to have to make a stop. I did not necessarily think that 30 or 35 yards of field position would ultimately be what allowed us to win or lose that football game. I felt like trying to get the football back in that moment was worth a try. Not necessarily our best execution on that particular onside kick, but knowing that we would be able to use potentially that 2-minute warning and our 2 timeouts, we did force a potential 3rd and 7, 3rd and 8, whatever it was on the Sewell catch, where they just executed that play. If they don't execute that play, they're not in field goal range, and as we've proven this year, we can move the ball pretty quickly in the 2-minute mode. We had done it against that team earlier in the season. Really I was looking at it like a chance to get the ball back right now, while also knowing that we were going to need to make a stop regardless. If we do kick it deep and they still get that first down, Ben, they're still going to be punting that ball away. And although it would still be an 8-point game, there would still be about 10, 20 seconds, whatever it was, left if they were able to get a first down regardless. So I looked at it like a chance to get the football, be aggressive in that moment. Didn't get the execution we wanted, but that's not going to change the process. That's always going to be a game to game, the feel of how all three phases are playing. And ultimately, whatever I think gives us the best possible chance to maybe have multiple chances, to have a chance to go win that game, and just didn't get it done. Wouldn't change it. Felt like it was the right thing for our team in that moment, and we didn't end up getting the stop on that first set of downs. They made that play, like I said, and that ended up being kind of a major factor. And then they did end up kicking the field goal as well to make it a 2-possession game. So you got to give them credit for making the plays that they needed to make to win that game.
Yeah, Kevin, getting back to the defense, as part of addressing all of that, would you consider changing assignments on the coaching staff and specifically who's doing the play calling on game day?
You're always looking at things that you think might be what could be a possible answer to help the guys play better and be more consistent. But as of right now, no, not something that I'm considering.
Matthew, Alec, and then we'll close with Chris.
Hey, Kevin, as you evaluate the tweaks that you're going to make on defense, I guess, how do you analyze like what's worked and what's not? Because you have opportunity over the final few games before the playoffs to kind of try some things and make changes. But you're doing it against, different types of teams. I guess I wonder about that evaluation process to decide by the time you get to the playoffs, have we fixed X, Y, and Z or not? What's that like?
Yeah, I think, Matt, a lot of things go into it. And, I think it's a matter of big picture thinking at this point. I think we got to try to do whatever we think is going to help us win this football game. And this week, as the season tends to go on and on, I think it's important that we start, and we always do. We always go into these games trying to do whatever we think is best that particular week to win a football game. But I think we try to establish some of the things that we think can be possible fixes on some of our issues we've had of late with explosive plays and teams being able to take advantage of maybe some things they're seeing on tape. So we've got to try to do that first and foremost. And if we can do that on the short term and start building an inventory of things that can be put in our toolbox to help with some of those issues, then we can rely on some of those things in addition to the personnel we think gives us the best possible chance to win and have success, and then be able to pair that all together week in and week out to give the Minnesota Vikings a chance to win and play in all three phases, in a way that can contribute to winning football. You got to make winning plays. You got to eliminate some of the self-inflicted errors and the execution errors and some things that we take a long, hard look at as coaches in really all three phases to make sure we're doing our job. And at this point in the season, in the middle of December, those things need to be looked at. You need to evaluate everything, but at the same time, I think it would be asking a lot to completely change, a scheme outright. But I do think there's a lot of things you can really look at to try to help your players, and that's what I'm asking our coaches, and that's what I'm specifically trying to do myself.
Hey, Kevin. This is kind of a two-parter. The first, I wondered if you guys heard anything from the league on Justin and that pass where I think they signaled he stepped out. The second one, as you reviewed the tape, just what stood out most about the game that Kurt played yesterday?
Yeah, Alec, it's normally something we don't. We have the ability to turn some things in and just get some feedback on from the league. We'll definitely take a look at that one in the moment. The coach is up top, and it was on the opposite sideline, but just Justin's reaction to it, and we always teach our guys to play through the whistle, and that's the expectation. But Justin's reaction to it, just how firm he was in his belief that he was still in, led me to ask the guys upstairs and And once they were able to see it, they kind of confirmed it to me. Ultimately, when they blow the play dead, there's nothing we can do. There's been a few of those this year that's kind of out of our hands a little bit from a standpoint of 12 on the field, or possibly a play getting ruled that a player was out of bounds when he, in fact, was able to run for what would have been a touchdown there. Those are tough. Those are just part of the game. We'll probably hear back, but not anything we can change in the moment or after the fact. So not really worth putting a lot of energy into that. And then I just thought, to the second part of your question about Kirk, I just thought he was incredibly decisive yesterday, both activating Justin in the ways we had kind of talked about in our adjustments from the previous matchup that we wanted to make, but also how decisive he was getting through progressions and, his feet and eyes being set to number one, and then working through progressions in rhythm, some great pocket movement mixed in, climbing in the pocket, working the pocket, standing in there firm when there was some push. I thought he played excellent. I thought he made some big time plays. We didn't always convert on some third down plays that we did make, specifically that backed up play where Justin ends up, his momentum brings him back behind the chains there on a pitch and catch on a 3rd and long, where Kirk was able to kind of extend that play and give us a chance. The TJ Hawkinson, play where he's got a chance at that ball over on the sideline would have been another conversion. I just thought the putting the ball in play, giving our playmakers a chance, and getting Justin going and Adam Thielen and TJ going, how that game went with us struggling in the run game, did put some pressure on our pass game. And, we spent some real time and equity going into the game, really trying to decide how we were going to go about attacking in the pass game. And those guys made the plan come to life, and give all those guys the credit. And thought Kirk and Justin were tremendous and played at a real winning level. And I think we can take a lot from that as we continue our quest to improve. But those guys played at a really high level yesterday.
Chris,
Yeah,
we'll close
Kevin,
with you.
Hey, Kevin, a 2-part question. How is Christian Darrisaw doing? And would you expect him to be back in the starting lineup against the Colts Saturday? And also wondering if you could offer some comments on Blake, being injured, and it was kind of a tough task filling in the last few weeks for a Pro Bowl caliber like Darrisaw, and how he did.
Well, that's a 3-part question, but I'll answer all 3 parts for you. Christian's doing well. He was cleared last week on Friday. As you guys saw, he was cleared for full practice, got that red jersey off, and went through some good work there. We made the decision ultimately that we were going to hold him out and then allow him to have a full week of work this week before we make a decision this coming Saturday, and that's how we'll go about it. But Christian's feeling great. He's definitely excited about the opportunity to work his way back in this week with a good week of work. I'll keep you guys updated as we go on that. And then as far as Blake, I think Blake has, stepped in and really handled a lot over these past few games. Answering the challenge. There were some real moments where he, provided really winning football at that position, filling in for one of the better players at his position in our league. I really do think in Christian Darrisaw. And, I'm just proud of the way Blake battled and showed his real versatility. I think he's got the ability to play all 3 spots. Both, I think Blake could play center. I think Blake could play interior guard positions. And he's shown that, he can fit in with that group up front at left tackle. And in this league, that's a challenging position. And without a lot of, game reps logged over a long period of time at that position, he went in and responded. So I'm proud of his ability to do that. Very unfortunate that he gets the MCL but as he's attacked this whole season and this whole process, I expect him to do that in that rehab process down there with Tyler and Uriah. And hopefully we have Blake available to us again at some point this season.
Thanks, everyone. We'll see you